Hello everyone, today I'm here to talk about the Bartimaeus Trilogy, I'm gonna cover my face, by Jonathan Stroud. Oh, those weren't even in the right order. This is the second book. Haha, this is the third. Anyway, the reason I haven't been posting for a while is one, I've been super busy. Two, after I read Phantom of the Opera, I also just kind of wasn't finding any interesting books to read. There were a few that I started and I was like, yeah, these are really good. And then I just never got around to finishing them, which is totally something I do. So I have like 3 books that I've started and haven't finished yet, but eventually I will, so you'll get to hear about them. And it's not even that like they're poorly written, it's just that I wasn't in the mood for reading. And then I was like, I need to get back into reading, but I don't really feel like reading any of these books right now. And then I read the first Bartimaeus book, which I have read this trilogy before twice now, but the last time was 6+ years ago, maybe even before COVID happened. And oh my gosh, guys, they're so good. First of all, I think Jonathan Stroud is a really good writer. I have read his other series, the Lockwood and Co. series. Really enjoyable, super fun. Yeah, like he's just really good. And one thing that he does that I really like is he doesn't necessarily take time to explain the world, and I actually really like that. He's not like in an alternate universe where there's magic in London. It's just like, it's in London. There's wizards. They summon demons to basically keep in power and do their bidding. And he doesn't need to explain that. You just learn that through the story. And he does that, I feel like, in all of his series. And I actually really like that. Like I said, instead of giving an exposition like, 20 years ago, the world went up in flames and now people are living in little conclaves all over the earth. Like, he just gets into the story. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think that's okay because I feel like I write that way sometimes too, where it's just the story starts and you're not necessarily sure who the characters are right off the bat, but like, you just get it, you know? Everything is explained through the story, not necessarily through exposition or random chapters. Oh my gosh, I just realized this drawer is open. We're just gonna close that. Another habit of mine, opening drawers and not closing them all the way. Anyway, so I'm just gonna review all these 3 books at once. I read them all very, very quickly after one another. I probably shouldn't have, like I had homework to do, I had finals to do, but I just could not put them down. They were so good. They're very witty, very clever. I also like in this trilogy, especially that he's written, I'm going to try and find like a quick example, is in chapters where Bartimaeus, so he's like the main demon. I should probably tell you. There's Nathaniel, who is the wizard who's summoning Bartimaeus to do his bidding. But on Bartimaeus' chapters, there'll be like these little footnotes, and it's always like quirky or funny comments that Bartimaeus is making on what is actually happening, or places he's been, or things that he's seen because he's thousands of years old. And I like how also each book builds on each other, and these items or these things from the first 2 books actually become really, really important in the 3rd book, and I totally had not remembered that at all. I thought they were each kind of like their standalone story, you know, but obviously you should read the first book because that's what, you know, introduces the characters, but really they do build upon each other. I wouldn't say like heavily, like I feel like you could still probably read the 3rd book and understand, but why the heck would you do that, right? Why would you start with the 3rd book in a trilogy? So yes, I really enjoyed that. I guess these magical artifacts are super important in the 3rd book, and other things too that were mentioned, or people that were mentioned and that came in throughout the series, are also all just, everything just comes together in the 3rd book, and I was like, yes, I love that. I just want to like, this is kind of a side note, but I feel like that was like it's like the antithesis of Harry Potter, where there were a lot of things like the time turner in the 3rd one, and just like random things that were mentioned in each book, but like they were only important to that book and they did not come back at the end of the series. And I'm like, I don't know, a time turner would have been really useful. I feel like, Anyway, whatever. So, sorry, that's just like a little thing. I like how everything is wrapped up. It all comes together nicely in these books. And you just really feel for the characters. I freaking hated the main character in the 2nd book. And honestly, like, decently through the 3rd book as well. He starts the trilogy as, like, a kid, and you feel bad for him, and I like him, and he and Bartimaeus develop this relationship, but by the 2nd book, he's just all about power, about, you know, getting further in the government, being, like, the best at everything, and he doesn't care that Bartimaeus might be suffering or that other people are suffering. And that's a good chunk of the third book too. And I was like, I don't remember Nathaniel being this much of a jerk. Like, F him. I was really, really annoyed at him. But he does turn around, and I'm not going to like spoil the end or anything, but like, oh, the ending just like pulls on my heartstrings. It was really, really good. Just all of the characters in general. So you should definitely check out. So it's The Amulet of Samarkand is the first book. The Golem's Eye is the second book. And then the third book in the trilogy is Ptolemy's Gate. Now, there has been a fourth book released called The Ring of Solomon that does have Bartimaeus in it, but it's not necessarily connected to the trilogy. You could definitely read that as a standalone. And so I guess it's called like the Bartimaeus something. It's not the trilogy anymore. Like, I don't know, the Bartimaeus Quartet. That's not what it's called, but yes. So you should read that one too. I haven't read it. I also was really, really hard to find at any of the libraries here. I had to have my brother bring me the last book from home, which was really annoying because they're really, really good. Like, I'm kind of surprised that more libraries don't have them. I wish they would make a movie of it or like a TV series, but they have to do it well because I'm really picky about that. And I feel like it would maybe be better to do it animated almost because the demons can take different forms, and I feel like that might be really hard. Like, CGI has, you know, obviously progressed a lot in the last 20 years or whatever, but some of the CGI is just like bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's so smooth and you can just tell it's not real, and I feel like that takes you out of the world. At least it does for me. So I was like, maybe they should just animate the whole thing. Make it like an anime. That'd be fine. I'd be fine with that as long as they just make it, because it's really well written. And I have also read another book, started another series of his. Once again, same thing. So I just highly suggest checking out in general Jonathan Stroud, because I think he's an overall great writer. And also, if you want to start with something, start with the Bartimaeus Trilogy. It's hilarious. That's so good. I just don't even know what to say. I sat on the couch and read like the whole first book. Well, I had started a bit earlier, so I guess like the majority of the first book just in one night. Like I said, I had finals, I had homework. I was like, don't care. I'm reading this book. Totally great. There was a death in the first book that really shocked me. Once again, totally didn't remember it from the last time I read the books, and I was like, oh, this person's not actually dead, are they? Like, that's a joke, right? Like, they're not really dead. They were dead. And that shocked me. And kind of shocked me that that didn't change the main character more in the second and the third book. Because like I said, he was a total jerk in those two books. Did not like him. So full of himself. But anyway, that is the Bartimaeus Trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. Can I hold these up in the right order? Ugh. Highly suggest you check these out. Per the usual, I forgot to think of a question, but I guess since there's like some magical artifacts in the books, what is my favorite artifact? Which I don't know, but I really do love King Tut's mask, like his, I wouldn't say it's his death mask, but the mask that was placed over King Tut has always fascinated me. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think the craftsmanship is so wow, and like no one makes things like this anymore, right? So I would have to say my favorite artifact that I know of, that I've seen, or I haven't seen it in person. That would be awesome if I could. But that I have seen pictures of would be King Tut's mask. I guess an artifact that I've seen, like actually seen, there were, I don't know, that's a hard one actually. Oh, I know what it is. It wasn't even like the coolest thing I've seen or like the thing that I was most impressed by, but I went to a pirate exhibit once and it was all about pirates, but also focused on the ship, the Whydah. I don't know if I said that right, but I think it's Whydah, which was a ship that was, sunk in a storm, I believe, off the coast of Maine, but don't quote me on that. Maine or Massachusetts, something like that. And they had recovered it. And so there were a lot of artifacts in the ship there, but you walk, as the exhibit started, when you walked into the room, and there was the ship's bell preserved with just like dark room, this spotlight just shining on it. They had to keep it in water. Something about like the pressure changes, it would have like disintegrated as they brought it up. So a lot of the artifacts were still like in pressurized water chambers. I just remember staring at that ship's bell for minutes, just so amazed by how well it was preserved, but just thinking of like the ship going down and the men that perished there, and like that dark room with that spotlight on that bell. It was crazy. That's my favorite artifact that I've seen. Like I said, it's not even like the most impressive, but yeah, I just couldn't stop staring at it. The setup was so good. So anyway, that's the Bartimaeus Trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. Go check it out and let me know, do you have a favorite artifact, one that you've seen or one that you've seen just pictures of? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share if you know people who like to read books. Thank you so much and have a great day.